What's Gucci? It's Sprax. I'm Sprax, by the way. Back again, another video. I'm actually really tired because I've been working on the car and everything else and doing a lot of other things, and I'm a little exhausted while making this, so it's probably going to show up. But I digress. YouTube, racism and favoritism, right? And Berleezy. So typically, I don't make videos or do any type of commentary of incidents that happen on YouTube, involving YouTube, if it's not really in the social, political, economic sphere. Kind of reason why I'm commenting on this. Because your average stuff, a drama incident here, a channel getting removed there, don't care about. It's not in my bubble of what I do or talk about or things, right? But when it comes to Berleezy, yes. And the reason for that is, with Berleezy's channel having got suspended, or terminated, whatever, even though it's back now, the commentary on the internet and everything were people bringing back up the discussion started by CoryxKenshin on how YouTube, how he feels YouTube is racist and favors bigger channels, right? And yes, he's correct. He's 100% correct. So generally when I try to talk about anything, I try to bring some depth and nuance to it. And this very impromptu, trying to keep it short, layman's way of talking on my phone, can't really do it the way I would like to do it. So I will try to keep this as brief yet descriptive as possible, which is hard to do, right? But when it comes to algorithms, there have been studies that have shown that algorithms have racial biases, mainly because of the fact that people have racial biases, especially when it comes to America and the subconscious racial biases that happens when it comes to minorities and everybody else, mainly though minorities that are people of color. It's ingrained in our history, right? YouTube at the same time is also ran by algorithms. In fact, majority of the internet, of the tech space of the internet, is ran by algorithms. So when it comes to these algorithms, those who have racial biases, who have racial, issues that are deep in their subconscious, they may not even know about, unless they get deep into the weeds of sociology and everything else on how certain things can affect you without knowing. They might not even have any idea of them programming towards, say, favor a white audience more, or not favoring a black creator more. A lot of this stuff is innocent, not completely, because you do have racists in the tech field, but a lot of it is actually innocent. The majority favors the majority, which just makes sense when the majority are the social group that have the most power, most influence. They're the ones that they are generally around. So if you're going to be coding an algorithm to favor people, subconsciously, if you're not racist, what are you going to favor when you don't have any type of training or education on this type of stuff? Exactly. Log out of YouTube, right, and go onto the front page and look at all the things you will see trending. Better yet, see, I work in a media space. I'm a photographer, videographer, and everything. And this is the reason why they talk about representation and whatnot. If you go on, say, a website like 500 Pics, which is a photography website, it's kind of dying now, it's full of bots. But if you see a lot of things that are trending, or you look up certain topics, like if you're looking up portraiture or anything for reference that deals with people, the majority is going to be what? In fact, you can do that in Google Images, right? Whenever I'm collecting the references for people, like reference shots of different skin textures or different clothing or whatever, when I'm trying to create a shoot, this is actually something I'm very aware of because it becomes an issue. And I've read on this topic. Here's some headlines of this topic from a basic Google search, which isn't the most academic way to give people information, but just type in racial biases, algorithms. The Brookings one is definitely a good read. So now we get into the money aspect, right? And even though I'm talking about them separately so far, they're actually intertwined, as well. Most things in life, most things aren't mutually exclusive, to be honest. So when it comes to the money, YouTube, or in most things in general, they favor whoever brings in the revenue. People that bring in the revenue get more priority, get more favoritism, and everything else. It's the reason why you can have a person like, say, Cold Feet Crowder, who's afraid of Sam Cedar, can do the Carla Mazda incident of the past and not have his channel removed. Whereas somebody like myself or anybody smaller who's going around just harassing a man and everything gets pretty much deleted. In fact, as a reference that just popped in my head right now as recording this, Leafy and Pokimane. I mean, Leafy's weird anyways, but his harassment of Pokimane, I feel like Terrence Howard right now. Pokimane, however you say her name. Okay, I don't follow these people really, but I do know that she is very popular and brings in a lot of revenue from her audiences, both on YouTube and Twitch. What was the result of his harassing of her? Gone. Whereas a person like Crowder, a few strikes here and there on monetization and everything, part of the reason why him and Daily Wire were beefing, currently are beefing even though he started it, but still here. In fact, as long as you have a major audience and have a lot of dark money behind you, you could get away with as much subtle racism as you want. Subtle. If you are overt with it, YouTube's definitely going to get rid of you. But as long as you're subtle with it, drop the dog whistles and everything, follow the Lee Atwater playbook. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google him. YouTube search him, actually. There's a video on here on the dog whistle playbook. As long as you do that, you are fine. So with that being said, if we intertwine the two of them and you take a black content creator who has a lot of eyes on them, we'll say, what, a few 100,000 to 1 million, and they do something like technically break the terms of service or whatever that falls under, which can hurt the revenue, which is part of the reason why everything was updated and everything. Remember the whole adpocalypse stuff? And they don't have the algorithm in their favor to begin with. One of the strongest possibilities is getting Thanos snapped out of existence, or in CoryxKenshin's place, getting more strikes than typical, more than the average person. It just is what it is. Once you know these things, you are even more aware than general. See, the issue when it comes to like these type of topics for the uneducated and whatnot, and I don't even mean that in like a demeaning way. I just mean like people who are like generally ignorant on these things because they might not have read about them or anything. It just seems like a perception bias type thing or whatnot. And then when you look at the history of America and everything, and hell, the Western world, it's like, oh, but there's always been some precedent there, so there's probably more here, especially since things aren't happening to that person. But it isn't. There's truth to it. But Berleezy got his channel back, good for him and everything. How you fix the problem? Don't know. Really don't know. Couldn't tell you. We always talk about having people that are inclusive and everything or whatnot, but that only could do so much because, as we see with the Tyree Nichols video, for example, his situation in general, people that go into institutions or whatnot don't necessarily change those institutions when they have a different type of foundation to begin with. So just because you have a black person in policing doesn't mean a black person is going to be, good. Doesn't automatically mean that, right? And the same for like programming with algorithms and everything and whatnot. Just is what it is. Anyways, see y'all in the next one.